Many consider these times to be a little tough economically with rising food costs and uncertainty in the job market. But even with those stressors, our next guest says we can still create a win-win in the workplace. Here to share more is Dr. Angela Jackson, the author of the New York Times bestseller, The Win-Win Workplace. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Elaine, thank you for having me.
Yes, it's a real treat because these are some interesting times. People are feeling stressed out. How can employees take some control in the workplace?
Absolutely, and I just want to name, being here in DC, and Washingtonians know this better than most, we're watching the headlines and we're seeing some of the safest jobs be eliminated overnight when we see what's happening with government jobs. So I just want to say that we see people and it's understandable. In this moment though, really thinking about what you can take control of really matters. And I write about this in the Win-Win Workplace. The biggest thing is really understanding what value you're bringing to your job and making sure that you are doing your work to communicate that value. So how are you increasing sales, driving revenue? How are you saving the company money? These are the things that are going to help you weather this storm.
Yeah, that's important because you can't just keep, you can't just stress out. Just keep your eye on the ball and keep increasing your value with what you're doing. Now, when people do go to their managers or something like that, and they're looking for maybe flexibility or support, what do you suggest they do to strengthen their case?
So the big one is, and this is why in the book I really hit on this, around the return on investment. Once you know what your value and how you're adding value, that puts you almost in this power position. So if you're sitting in front of your direct manager, you need to help them help you, and this is the time for you to manage up. So you need to tell them what your value is, how you could help and have more value, and how they can invest in you doing that. So come with some ideas. Do you want a bit more flexibility? Is commuting taking 3 or 4 hours out of your day? What can they do to help you do your job better and to have those ideas ready for them?
Okay, that's a great idea. Have a plan. Don't just come, but have a plan to talk. That's good advice. What if they just won't budge?
Yes. So have a plan with data. And when they won't budge, take that as your own data. People are wondering, is it time for me to go? Should I stay? If you know the value that you're adding and you're saying that you're helping this company drive sales, revenue, save money, and if they're not seeing that after you've introduced it to them, that is evidence that you might want to look for your other opportunity. And I always say the time to look for your opportunity is when you're in a job right now.
That's a good point. That's a good point. All right, let's talk about some real situations, right? There have been just layoffs. You could be the #1 person in your company, #1 in sales, but the company is just having layoffs. How do you ease those people's fears when there's a whole lot of people looking for jobs and not a lot of job openings?
Well, there's a couple of things, and this hits close to home for me. I have a dear friend who I grew up with who's here in Washington. She was a tax attorney, was laid off among 1,000 other of her peers. One thing that I coached her and told her about is the layoff was real and it happened and there's anxiety. But in your next phase, how do you let someone know that you're in the building? How, not only your direct manager, we can't count on everyone to advocate for us, we have to advocate for ourselves. So find out who your manager is. Make sure they know your name, that they know your contribution. And then the third is the time to make friends is before you need them. So platforms like LinkedIn are your friend in this moment. Don't be shy. There's no shame in being part of a reduction in force. This is a time to call out to your network. And this is a time when those social networks are going to help you land a job when you've got 1,000 other people who are looking for jobs.
That's a great idea. Kind of get those networks going before you need the job. You don't want to come out of nowhere. I mean, you really won't have a relationship at that point. Yeah, that is really great advice.
And that's what you can do also with your anxiety. So if you're thinking about what a possible next role would be, or you're curious about a company, use LinkedIn to reach out right now and to ask for an informational interview, ask for a conversation. That person might be interested in your company. Just because it's not right for you, it could be right for someone. Just thinking about this as an exchange and building relationships.
All right, great advice, very timely. Thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
Of course. For more on Dr. Angela Jackson, including how to get your hands on her book, visit her website at drangelajackson.com.